Satya Dharma Reflection on May 21st, 2022. Don't be limited with only disregarding. It's not about anything within disregarding. Then it will be true disregarding. Disregarding without traces from the attempt to disregard from anything. What is it that is attempting to disregard anything? It is actually the samudaya, the causes of suffering and the suffering. Nothing is within the disregarding, child. Don't be limited with only disregarding in the form of stillness and indifference that is sinking. That is still a realm of existence, not yet beyond boundaries, still limited with just a condition which is Anicca and Anatta and Vedana and Dukham totally. Nothing is within the disregarding. Don't be stuck with just that. Constantly give no meanings to disregarding. In this way it will be discarding the unwinding as well, simultaneously towards all things and all elements, inside and outside, so that there will be a help to unwind and release constantly. As usual, the enlightenment and the blessing is simultaneous, all the same, child, in the way that is not about anything within being the same. Nothing is within the disregarding. In this way it will be well brightening, without boundaries, not be stuck with just all things, senses or sense perceptions. There will be no limits at all. If the disregarding is limited with just itself, there will be a limitation towards so many things. Furthermore, being limited with just attributes, titi, or awareness, there will be variations of limitations towards any circumstances. So don't be limited with just disregarding. Give no significance to it right away, uninvolved with it right away. This is all of the essence of unwinding from clinging, from holding on, unwinding from being realm of existence, or cycle of the becoming. Fully give no meanings to the disregarding. Deliberate cut through to help samsara constantly. Nothing is within the disregarding, simultaneously with everything. So don't disregard first. Nothing is within disregarding, then it will be purifying all at once, purifying through the extinction and emptiness directly, not going around first. that which is not the non-attachment. All such samsaras disregarding is always dropping within stillness, indifference, equanimity, of being peaceful in the way of a dog biting a bone. How can there be true peace? Any state is anicca. That which has nothing to do with being peaceful or not. To be giving significance with just being peaceful or not, how can it be? This is deceiving oneself. Thinking that it's peaceful, misleading to oneself. Thinking only just about being peaceful is already not peaceful because of such a thought. Every stage has been given enlightenment to as anicca, totally anicca, in all conditions, in all states. Even the single-mindedness, it is anicca, dukkha, anatta in such a state. Form, attributes are anicca, dukkha, anatta totally. This has been the enlightenment of the Buddhas already. Even the disregard has nothing to do with itself. Again and again mention it. How can there be any limitations to a certain extent? Then it will have nothing to do with anicca, dukkha, and anatta. It will not about anything within the anicca normally, automatically. It will not be about anything within anatta or dukkha automatically. That which has nothing to do with yes, that which is not related to yes or no. Neither is relevant. No is not even no itself. It's not the non-attachment itself. Don't be limited with just non-attachment. Being peaceful is all anatta. All the significance and meanings is anatta. So don't think that it is it. Even no is not no itself. The unwinding is not about anything within itself. Don't be deluded to try to grab peaceful. It's the realm of existence. While being obsessed to be deludedly grabbing anything, concentration, mindfulness, contemplation is a suffering that is subtle, which is a Vedana within the happiness itself, thinking that is comfortable and relaxing. That is the suffering in the subtle form. It's all of the Vedana. Any state is Anatta and Aniccam. Concentration is Anicca within itself. Mindfulness is Anicca within itself, child. Therefore, don't be distorted. Don't be obsessed to grab that which is not about grasping. Don't be deludedly grasping toward that which is not about grasping. Mindfulness is Anicca and Anatta in itself. Mindfulness is in the state of Dukham within itself. Everything has been enlightened to. All Dharma is Anicca, Dukham and Anatta. How can one try to attain that which is Anicca, Anatta and Dukham? Cut through deluded knowing. No grasping, even the non-grasping itself. The Anatta that doesn't grasp itself as it is. The Anicca that doesn't grasp itself as it is. Even Dukham doesn't grasp itself as it is. This has been the subjects of the enlightenment in every Buddha era. Still, there is some grasping, still trying to attain. Non-attachment doesn't grasp itself, doesn't attain itself. Uninvolved, even within the involved itself, is not about grasping, even the non-grasping itself. Non-attached to the non-attachment itself, it doesn't grasp itself. It doesn't attain itself. Uninvolved, even within the involved itself, it doesn't grasp itself. Everything has been enlightened to already. Why still attached? What is being given the cutting? Why being attached to it? This is too much education, random within the education totally. Searching for somewhere to take a refuge, to cling. This is the desire within itself. It's not the non-attachment itself, uninvolved with it. This is all about the true non-attachment. This is not about searching for somewhere to take a refuge or to hold on to. Everything is non-attached in itself. Be enlightened to it so that one can help samsara to cut through the knowing, cut through the knowing. Uninvolved with the non-attachment itself, simultaneously with all things and all elements. Simultaneously with all things. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, child. The mighty force in helping through the unwinding and releasing will be tremendous. Naturally, All the senses are already there. No one owns it. It can only be a medium, an ambassador. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind can only be like a medium for samsara through the blessing, through purification of the extinction and the emptiness. Help through ending, ending as helping altogether. The ambassador of what? This is not just the ambassador of karma and karmic difficulties. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind are not just the ambassador of karma and karmic difficulties. Instead, they are the ambassador of helping through ending, purifying through the emptiness and the extinction as helping. Therefore, concludes towards Nirodha and Nibbana well to do that. The emptiness is not the emptiness itself, otherwise there will be a delusion towards the emptiness. How can it happen? That is the delusion towards one's own titi, opinions and meanings. Even non-attachment is not itself. Even the uninvolved is not anything within itself. Even know is not know itself, child. So much deluded to yes and no until it's become titi circling, unrealized. Being obsessed to use titi within Dhamma, being obsessed to use titi within Dhamma on and on, without purification to itself. Therefore, it's become samsara of titi. Unrealize it. Let's conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana. Well, emptiness is not emptiness, child. So don't be obsessed to give significance and involvement to being empty or not empty. What is it that being empty or not? Being obsessed to give significance and meanings and involvement on and on. This is samsara of titi. Without purifying it, there is only just a rising of titi on and on, continuously. That's why it's become samsara of titi. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Titi purifying titi itself. The wisdom purifying itself. This is not the wisdom doesn't purify itself. It's become the arising of wisdom within titi on and on. The opinion that doesn't purify itself. Anatta is not even the anatta itself. So that one will not be obsessively using titi with the anatta. Anatta is not anatta itself. The emptiness is not emptiness itself. No is not no itself. Let's make a conclusion through Nirodha and Nibbana well to help samsara onwards. Being obsessed to deludedly form up the Dhamma and then being deluded to it, mindfulness like this, like that, without cutting through it, being obsessed with concentration, contemplation, mindfulness, special insights. This is the delusion within Dhamma, without purification within the ego, within having being. Why ceasing it? Why not purifying this kind of gain and loss within Dhamma? Being obsessed within significance and meanings within the mindfulness. Mindfulness having significance within itself, having entity within itself. Mindfulness doesn't cut through itself. Being deluded to the formed up of Dhamma and being deluded to it. Why so much grasping, huh? Mindfulness still having significance within itself. The mindfulness having something in it. Where is it derived from, huh? This mindfulness? Is that an assumed state, an assumed condition? What is given is the mindfulness cuts through itself. This is the easy language of the present time. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. Listen well to this simple language. The disregard has nothing to do with itself. This is not about using the disregard to disregard from anything, using the mindfulness to gain something from it. Listen to the present language, the old language. If you cannot end with it, then listen to the present language. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. That is cutting the cutter itself. Letting go of the letting go itself. This is not about determined to let go of anything. Which kind of identity is it that is trying to let go? Why not letting go of the letting go itself? Which identity is it that trying to cut? Why not cut through the cutting itself? There is just greed, desire, and delusive attachment within Dhamma. Uninvolved with the disregard itself. Don't be obsessed with someone trying to disregard. What is it that is attempting to disregard? Disregard is not itself. This will purify the attempt to disregard. It will purify the personhood who is disregarding or not, which is the desire and the samudaya itself. Personhood of disregard or not is the samudaya overlaying totally, child. It is totally a desire. The disregard is not itself. Emptiness is not itself. So that the titi will not be using deludedly being empty or not. Disregard is not itself, so that there will be no significance within disregarding or not. Let's make a conclusion through Nirodha and Nibbana well. Always teaching about mindfulness. What is there within mindfulness? What is it that doing it? That is just desire, delusion, and delusive attachment. This is wanting to grasp. How can it be grasped? All Dhamma is Anatta, Aniccam. There is just the grasping that is leading towards exhaustion. That's why it's become realm of existence all over. All Dhamma is Anatta. This is not about grasping Dhamma, being deluded to grasp Dhamma, to attain Dhamma. What is it that is doing it? That is the delusion, desire, and delusive attachment that is assumed. Assume the desire, delusion, and delusive attachment all by oneself. And assume Dhamma, and being deluded to the assumed Dhamma. Non-attached to even the non-attachment itself, the non-attachment is not itself. The mindfulness that is given is cutting through itself. It's called the cut-through of mindfulness. Dhamma is just not even Dhamma itself. It's meaningless within itself. It's non-attached to itself. But practicing Dhamma for attainment until it becomes addiction, mindfulness turn into realm of existence, being stuck within it. Concentration has been something that is stuck within itself. This is the teaching that is not helping for liberation. The more practicing, the more addictive to it. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. So that it will end all the practice for attainment. All the delusion to practice for attachment is all of the samudaya of the delusion to practice. Thinking that one is reaching, thinking that one's already there. Still being obsessed with significance and meanings and involvement, and realize that all the mighty force is just an assumed thing from the assumed giving. No Buddhas in the kind of enabled to attach to. The Anubhav has been derived from blessing for a long term. It's impossible to be attached to the Buddhas. All the suffering nowadays, this is from the attempt to non-attached. Unrealized that is non-attachment to even the non-attachment itself. Don't be stuck with just attachment or non-attachment. Otherwise, there is no purification for the Tithi, all the dualities. Attachment, non-attachment, liberated, not liberated. Non-attached to the non-attachment itself, so that there will be no personhood within attachment or non-attachment. Disregard even from the disregard itself, so that there will not be anything within disregarding or not, all the same. Again and again mention it. Nothing is in being the same. This is not in the way of being a twin. Nothing is in being the same. Uninvolved, all the same with everything. Uninvolved with the disregard, all the same. Non-attached, even to the non-attachment itself, all the same to everything, child. It is not about anything in being the same, which is purification of the extinction, all the same. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. No is not even no itself. It's all the same essence, non-attached to even the non-attachment itself. Go ahead. Bless with the mighty force, powerfully. Don't be obsessed to reserve manners. What is given, just give further on. The ending as helping is to be given the ending. So go on boundlessly, sharing the mighty force in the boundless way, purifying through the emptiness, uninvolved with the disregard, all the same to everything without boundaries, so that it will become purification of the extinction and the emptiness. What is given is to give further on. Ending cannot be stuck with just here. It has to be given for samsara. Uninvolved with the disregard in the way that is boundless. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself in the way that is incalculably. This will be ending gracefully as helping. Don't pay attention to the form of the perfection to assume up in whatever ways. Don't pay attention to form or formless and lifetimes. It's just assumed for blessing in each moment, in each time. The assumed is not real within itself as it is. It just assumed. Buddha perfection, the Anupap, the mighty force, is just assumed for blessing. It's not real within itself. Everything is Anatta within itself. Perfection is Anatta within itself. Therefore, don't look at just that. Don't look at just the circumstance that is assumed. Otherwise, all the delusion to look, to see, will create pitfalls within itself. It's not the disregard itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, it's not about anything within the disregard itself. Let's conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana well. Let's conclude through Vimutti well. There's not much, child. Disregard is not itself, the unremoved is not itself. Let's make a conclusion as such. It will cut off the cycle of restlessness, all such as restlessness will be cut off. It's not difficult to make a conclusion here. Disregard is not itself. It's not relevant to itself. Let's conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana as such. It will cut off the samudaya that is restless here and there. It will give ending to the samudaya automatically. All the agitation and restlessness will be cut off. Disregard is not itself. It's not relevant to itself. On one's own, disregard is not relevant to itself. There's no complications at all. This is not at the mind or at anything at all. To be obsessed with dwelling within the mind, that's why there's so much confusing. The teaching is the samudaya within itself in regards to the teaching about the mind. The dwelling within the mind, within the heart, is the samudaya. That's why mai is given. Mai, disregard even from the disregard itself. Otherwise, it's going to be samudaya within disregarding. When it's given significance to it, it becomes samudaya. Even uninvolved is uninvolved with itself. A tiny bit of uninvolved, it becomes samudaya overlaying. Well, to conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana within this samsara. This is not about teaching towards one another on one's own way, become samudaya in teaching. This is using karmic difficulties in teaching to teach Dhamma of mindfulness, concentration, contemplation. This is delusion. This is not helping towards ending. That's why it has to be using the forgiveness statement, the ahosikam. Once there is the beginning, it's not ending already. Once there is the beginning to practice, it's become the arising within the practicing itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself, uninvolved with the disregard itself, this will end the beginning and the attempt to end. Disregard even from the disregard itself. This will give ending the attempt to deludedly begin or deludedly end anything. This is not about practicing. And the practice itself, child. The practicing itself is the samutai in itself. Unrealized, that is the delusion to grasp, to attain, that is overlaying. Disregard, even from the disregard itself. This is not the attempt to begin or to end. This is not about something attempting to begin or to end anything. Go ahead, uninvolved with the disregarding in the way that is incalculably. Again, sharing compassion and great compassion. This is not just be stuck with the realm of the wise, of the awakened, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Don't be stuck with just the realms of the awakened, the realms of the brightened. Go on without limits. incalculably. Don't be stuck with just awakening within itself, knowing within itself, or seeing within itself, or with just the lightness. Don't be stuck with just the subtleties or the refined, while being obsessed with these limitations. Even the disregard is not limited to itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, the disregard is not itself. Uninvolved with the disregarding all the same, child. The disregard that is not relevant to itself, all the same to everything in the way that is unlimited, incalculably. Not to be limited to certain extent, not to certain groups, not to certain fellows, not to just certain realms of existence. Is incalculably unlimited. Then it will be the purification without boundaries for samsara, so that it will not become samsara. Then samsara will not be stuck with just being samsara.